Express Association and the California Division. What you're going to witness today is part of the celebration of the 150th anniversary of the Pony Express. On April 3rd, 1860, the Pony Express started. Riders left St. Joseph, Missouri. A rider left St. Joseph, Missouri, heading for San Francisco. And a rider left San Francisco on its way to St. Joseph. Folsom, in the first 6 weeks, Folsom was not on the route. And you'll hear more about that in the past and in the future there. But this ride started yesterday in San Francisco, and it's the first time since 1983 that the National Pony Express Association has carried mail from San Francisco. Normally we start from Sacramento. So today, what you'll witness is an exchange of the mochila, and the outgoing rider is already here. You will see him sworn in, take the Pony Express oath later, given by Congressman Dan Lundgren of the 3rd California District. You'll see the outgoing, the incoming rider will bring in the mochila and the mail. We started this morning from downtown Sacramento, 3rd and 2nd and J, Old Sacramento, if you please. And since that time, riders have been riding 8 to 11 miles an hour, bringing the mail in. I would like to introduce at this time Patrick Maxfield. He's president of the Folsom Historical Society, and he's going to tell you more about the Pony Express and Folsom's role in that.
Good afternoon, everybody. Congressman Dan Lundgren will be here soon, and he'll have a few comments to make. But first, let's get a mental image here. Let's go back 200 years, and suppose that we were all standing here 200 years ago. All that you would see would be the Nisenan, the Maidu Indians. They were here for thousands of years, all up and down the American River. There was no Sutter Street, no buildings, just the trees, and these guys were hunter-gatherers, and they survived on nuts and fish and that sort of thing. The first person to come into this population was in 1827. It was Jedediah Smith. He came here, found these people. He was looking for a route from this side over the Sierra Nevada to get back to the east. In 1849, the gold rush changed things here. The Indians at that time, there was about 9,000 or 10,000 estimated to be in what is California, the geographic limits of California, 9,000 to 10,000 Indians. By 1910, there were only 1,100 Indians left, and by 1930, they were all gone. Actually, there may have been like 93 left. The Pony Express came into existence in 1861. They lasted for a year and a half. Folsom here was a terminus at one point from the riders coming from Missouri to here. Later it was Sacramento, it's Placerville at times, but basically this used to be a Pony Express stop. The Pony Express ran day and night, summer and winter. So it was a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week operation. They had 183 men who were known to have been part of this venture. An ad in California in a newspaper read, and this is interesting. The ad was looking for new riders. The ad said, "Wanted, young, skinny, wiry fellows, not over 18. Must be expert riders, willing to risk death daily, orphan preferred." Most riders were around 20, The youngest was 11, and the oldest was in his mid-40s, and they usually weighed somewhere around 120 pounds. They earned about $100 a month. The riders themselves took over every 75 to 100 miles. The whole route was almost 2,000 miles from St. Louis, Missouri, St. Joseph, Missouri, all the way to Sacramento and or the terminus at that time. As was mentioned, the horses traveled about 10 miles an hour. That was their average speed. The riders got a fresh horse every 10 to 15 miles. So a rider would be on a horse, go 10 or 15, get a new horse. 400 horses were used in this venture. And the station, there were 165 stations between St. Joseph, Missouri and Sacramento. The schedule was ongoing. So the price for mailing a letter was $5 for a half-ounce letter, and that was at the beginning, and it dropped to $1 per half ounce. This is the 150th anniversary of the Pony Express. It's also the 150th birthday of this building right over here. Up on top it says Wells Fargo. And at the very, very top you'll see the date 1860. And so that building there has been around for 150 years. But there was one point 50 years ago when there was a development proposal that was going to be put right here on this lot. So the Folsom Historic Society, or a group of people in town, formed the Folsom Historic Society. That was 50 years ago. And the purpose was to save this building. It was scheduled for destruction. What happened was they completely moved this building. All the bricks and everything you see there was taken down and it was moved across town over somewhere by this, where the zoo is today. And then when it came to be that the development proposed here didn't come to be, the Folsom Historic Society rebuilt it. They took all that material, brought it back here, and so that building was saved. And 50 years ago, almost today, and again, the Folsom Historic Society drove that.
Well, this is a great opportunity for us to share in the history of the state of California, the history of the nation, and the history of Folsom. After we have the exchange of the riders, and I give the oath to Dean here as the rider before he takes off, we're going to have a little ceremony because we discovered, doing some historical research, that the way the people of California and the West found out that Abraham Lincoln was elected was hearing the message as it was delivered by the Pony Express. Also, his first inaugural address was brought to the West via Pony Express. They sent it by telegraph from Washington, D.C. to Kearney, Nebraska. They then started on the Pony Express, and the riders brought a copy of Lincoln's first inaugural address across the West, over our mountains, then ended here in Folsom, and from here it was telegraphed to Sacramento, and then from Sacramento printed and also telegraphed to San Francisco. So we went back to the Library of Congress, got a copy made from the original used by Abraham Lincoln that we will present later today to the city of Folsom, and it will be displayed in your library. The interesting thing is it has Abraham Lincoln's handwriting. For those of us who have ever done term papers or done speeches, you will see that he did several drafts, and one of the drafts got actually printed. I don't know if it was typewriter or printer, how it was, but then you can see where he actually cut and pasted And then in the middle, in different spots, in his longhand on lined paper, are the words written by Abraham Lincoln. So we made an original copy off the original from the Library of Congress. We're going to present it after we send our writer off to the city leaders here in Folsom, and it will be displayed in your main library. And hopefully people will begin to have a greater appreciation for what the history of the Pony Express is and the place in history that Folsom played for many, many different things, but also bringing news of Abraham Lincoln's election and his first inaugural address to the West Coast via Folsom. This is the oath of the Pony Express rider. I, Dean Freitas, do hereby swear before the great and living God that during my engagement as a member of the National Pony Express Association Reride, I will under no circumstances use profane language, that I will not drink no intoxicating liquors, that I will not quarrel or fight with any other member of the association, and that in every respect I will conduct myself honestly, be faithful to my duties, and so direct all my acts as to win the confidence of my associates. So help me God. Congratulations. What's the name of the horse? Kramer, what's thankful about this now?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kramer. Like Cosmo Kramer, you know? He's carried the mail 6 times, and this is going to be his 7th re-ride. He's carried it in the mountains at night. He's carried it on hard roads and dusty trail. He's a great boy. His owner is right over here, the little lady in the black and white dress. Although I've had him for 10 years, I shoe him, I feed him, I ride him, and I'm a very fortunate man. Trust me on that. He's a great horse. Did everything from work cows to carry Old Glory in parades to travel all over the Sierras. But the one thing he does extraordinarily well is that he's no pony, but he carries the Pony Express mail.
For those of you that have just arrived, what you're going to witness here is 20 plus years of history in Folsom. We've been doing the re-ride to Folsom since 1978 or so. And we've had a great time doing it. We appreciate the welcome from the city of Folsom and from the Folsom Historical Society. The re-ride started in San Francisco yesterday at 8 o'clock. We went by boat from San Francisco to Vallejo, a high-speed boat. And then from there we went to Old Sacramento, arriving about 7:30 last night. The mail was held overnight in Sacramento City, and then this morning at 11 o'clock from 2nd and J, we left for Folsom, and we're on our way. The mail will be delivered to St. Joseph, Missouri, at the Patey House, the 1860 headquarters of the Pony Express, on the 26th.
Dan Linden.
All right, as I mentioned to you before, we were going to do this after the rider came through, but we have some time here. These are copies made from the original manuscript used by President Abraham Lincoln with his first inaugural address. And as I mentioned, I don't know if he invented cutting and pasting, but he utilized it in setting up his speech. And so you can see printed text here where he's crossed out words, put in other words, and then above and below, in his handwriting on lined paper, are the words put in there specifically by Abraham Lincoln himself. We decided that since this ties in with the city of Folsom and the whole idea of the great experience of the Pony Express as it came through this part of the country, that we would make this presentation both to the city representatives and to the Library Commission, because as I say, this will be presented so that all people of all ages can take a look at this part of history connected with us here in Folsom. So if I could make this presentation both to the city representatives and the library folks. And what this says here at the bottom is the original copy of President Abraham Lincoln's first inaugural speech was presented to the city of Folsom, California on June 7, 2010 in honor of the 150th anniversary of the Pony Express. On March 4, 1861, President Abraham Lincoln delivered his first inaugural speech. A copy of this speech was dispatched by Pony Express where it arrived in Folsom, California. From Folsom, it was then transmitted by telegraph to Sacramento and disseminated across the state of California. This is a tribute to Folsom's role in both our national and state history.
I'm Les Bennington, president of the National Pony Express Association, and kind of going along with the wonderful gift that Congressman gave to the city. Larry, or hey, somebody. These are brand new maps that you can tell they're small. One corner, I got one. You can take this back with you, Congressman, but this is a Pony Express trail from start to finish. And we put it, we'll have one of these that we'll give to the museum here, and I'll give you this one. But he can take that back to D.C. if he wants to. I'd like to introduce some of the people that helped make this possible. We've got several several past presidents. Ken Martin, past president of the National Pony Express Association, and chairman of the 150th Anniversary Committee. David Sander, immediate past president of NPEA. Jim Swigert, talking as usual. He's from Pollock Pines. Jim Swigert, your vice president. Hold your hand up. Rich Tapman just left. He's president of California. David Kittle, he's president of Nevada. And Dave Sander is past president of the Kansas Division. And we certainly don't want to forget Red Dixon. Red, you're about 86 or 7 years young. He rode out of Sacramento today. How much? 77, okay. 2009 marked the 30th year that the National Pony Express Association has done the rewrite either into or across the 8 states that make up the Pony Express National Historic Trail. We're an all-volunteer group. Covering roughly 2,000 miles of trail is no small task, whether you're paid or volunteer, but it's an extreme privilege for me as president to thank all of our members that make this possible and all of our state presidents. And thank you all for showing up here today.
Now, once again, you notice that the mochila is on the saddle. The rider sits over the mochila, holds it on there. This mochila weighs about 40 pounds. The one in 1816 weighed about 13 pounds.
Come on, baby, you can make it. You can make it. You can make it.
Now, the cantinas were locked in those days. They really didn't have access to them. They did keep one open so that it could put in information, way bills from one station to the other. Information. Dean, just, don't panic. You just have to ride about 15 minutes faster. Now, the commemorative letters are here in the mochila, and again, when they arrive in St. Joe, they're going to be sent to the U.S. mail system. Yes.
All right, watch out. They're going to come through here.
Right at you, folks. Yeah!
She's got all the bugs out of her?
She's a good, oh, I don't know. In the beginning, I wasn't sure.
Really? When you put that big thing on her?
She knows how to run. She's been doing it for a while, so
But has
she
she
knows.
ever had that big...
The mochia? Yep, she's done it since she was about 6.
oh my God.
So she's...
You got another guy.
Hi, baby. How are you doing?
Did you hear me?
Yes, I did. You did good.
Well, congratulations, Ryder.
How was the ride?
It was wonderful. Quick, but good.
And what's your horse's name?
Penny.
Penny. Oh.
Cutting into her dirt now.
What I did is I went until we had about 5 minutes left, and then I just hauled. And he came in right behind me, though. So he did really good. He did wonderful. He's going to be 78.
The horse's name is Gunner. Gunner. Yep. AKA Hidalgo. He's a paint. Yep. He's an Indian horse.
He's a tired horse.
He is 14. He's a good roping horse that my farrier, Lynn Lee's.
You did a good job, Penny.
Thank you. Good job.